Hello, 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 and welcome in this new episode of Awakening Stories. Today, we welcome Melissa, and she will share with us her awakening story and what happened in her life that triggered this awakening. We also talk a little bit about discernment and Reiki and a ton of other stuff. I suggest you get comfy and keep on listening. Okay, so the first question that I want to ask you, Melissa, is what was the worst part of your awakening?
Oh, geez.
And
Let's
don't
dive
ask
right
me why I
in.
want to ask you that, but it's what came
Okay,
up, so I'm gonna go with it.
let's dive right in. So it kind of like I guess I have to give a little backstory as to
Okay.
what triggered my awakening.
Yes.
So someone very close to me went through some just traumatic experiences, and they inadvertently, unbeknownst to them, started channeling spirits. Spirits started coming through them without their permission. And so I was basically there watching this happen. And as spirits would come into their body, their personality, soul would shift out, and someone else would be in their body talking to
Okay.
me. Um, so that's pretty scary, especially because at this time I wasn't awake. Um, I had certain beliefs. I did believe in like ghosts and life after death and stuff like that, but I wasn't like fully in and as I am now. So, I mean, that was pretty traumatic events in itself, like having
Yeah,
that
that must have
happen.
been intense.
Yeah. So, kind of like dealing with that and the fact that like I knew this person wasn't going crazy. I
Mhm.
knew this wasn't like a psychotic episode. I just knew in my heart. And then when it would like be over or the other spirit would leave and they would come back, it was like pretty instant. Like it was like a light switch like flipped and they would be back. He would be exhausted and tired. But he knew that like something happened. And a lot of times he would astral travel during this time period.
Okay.
So like he would have experiences and would come back and tell me. Other times he was conscious of what was going on and could hear the other spirit. And so he would know like that they were talking to me.
Okay.
So just dealing with kind of that was like, okay, well, I know he's not crazy because he's having experiences while this is going on. It's not just something, but I think like most people would be like, okay, you're crazy. I think you need to go to like the psychiatric ward or something. But like, I just knew in my heart of hearts that that wasn't what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
What kind of things was it channeling telling you?
um, different spirits, and this is still something that we're working with and trying to figure out. So I think some of them are past life, like portions of him,
Okay.
and having some past life like regressions, I guess, on his own. And I think that's some of the ones that he would recognize were happening, or he would astral travel, and then I would hear him have conversations. And so like I could hear kind of both sides of the story. And I would record a lot of it. I have a lot of like some video of it. I have soundtracks of it because I was like, I need to remember this. I'm not gonna be able to like write this all down. I also have like notes in my phone because it would happen late at night without like when we were trying to go to bed, like certain hours. So I have a lot of notes on it, but there would be things like that. So I have dates and things that we were able to sort of Google and verify. Um, there are other times where like honestly they're just straight up entities and
Okay.
not nice beings coming through. I've been called like so many different names. The funniest one that sticks out to me is one of them called me a wench. And I'm like, that's like such a time specific like period for someone to use that term. Um, I think the other funny thing was like I would explain that they were, I'm gonna say it's my fiance that this happens
Hmm.
to. They would say, I would try to explain to them that they were in my fiance's body and they didn't know that word. And so I went back and looked at like the history of the word fiance and when that like became a term. And I think if I remember correctly now, it was like the 1800s. So
Okay.
these spirits are like predating that. and really don't understand some of the things that are coming through that I'm saying. And I mean, they're always like, they'll look around the room and like they're questioning like what a TV is, like what like an electric light is. So like they'll just kind of like have this blank stare and like not know where they are. So I mean, it's all sorts of different things. So there's mean ones, there's nice ones, I think, who are just like souls that like get lost and see an open body that they can pop into at the moment. And they'll come in and like they'll talk. You know, some of them don't have the energy to talk, some of them can answer some questions. Some of them are strong enough to control the body,
Okay.
which is a little freaky.
Yeah.
They can actually like physically move the fingers. They'll look around and like look at the hands and watch them move, similar to like how a baby recognizes that they can make movements, and then they'll realize they can use the body. That gets a little freaky. Yeah, so it's all sorts of different experiences, and this went on for a couple of years. I mean, it still goes on occasion. We're pretty protected now, but it's not fully secured, I'll say. So that's something that I've been learning to do and learning to work with to be able to help him um, kind of go through this. And it's been sort of my initiation.
Yeah. And what an initiation. I mean,
Mm.
that was what a ride.
Yeah, just throw me in there, I guess, is how I do best.
And
So maybe I chose that. I don't know.
yeah, you must have.
Yeah.
And so you decided to become a little detective. I mean, like, that's what happened. And what happened for
Yeah.
you specifically when, what, how did you experience spirit?
So for me, when it first started happening, obviously, like I was seeing these things happen, but I had to run it through myself and be like, okay, is this like something, you know, crazy? Am I crazy for thinking this is spirits and not something mental going on, a mental health issue or something like that? So, I mean, for months this was going on, and I was running through all of those things and just kind of figuring out what I really believe. We went and spoke to a psychic about it, and he did some meditations with her, and just the experience. The first one he did by himself, the second one I was there with him, and watching them go into like her medium process and then watching him connect with her. It was honestly like, now knowing, I would say it was like they went up and were in the spirit realm talking to each other, but they both had their eyes closed. They both were like in deep meditation. So just watching that transition and like watching that happen, I was like, oh my God, this is like intense. Like, and I hadn't had any like personal spiritual experiences at that point. So I was just like an observer, like, oh my gosh. And I was like, this is so cool that you can do this, honey. Like, you can like channel, you can talk to things. Like, I was like, oh my God, I was kind of excited. And so one of the messages he got at that reading at the end was like, basically, she was like, you're going to be like obsessed with this. You're going to learn everything that you can about this, and you're not going to stop. And that resonated so strongly with me. And honestly, that message at the end was for me.
Yeah.
He wanted nothing to do with any of this. He just wanted to turn it off. He didn't want to research it. He didn't want to know anything about it. But I just like innately in my heart, I became like obsessed with knowing all of this information and finding out what was going on. So like you said, the detective. So I started Googling. I was like doing all the research that I could. I didn't really know any people at this time to ask questions to, except this one lady that we had met, and she's local. But she got to the point where she was like, I can't help you anymore. And I don't know why. I haven't talked to her. I don't understand. Maybe it was just a message that this was something we had to do on our own. And she didn't relay that to us, but she was like, I can't help anymore. And so from that day on, I just started learning and started trying to figure it out. And like for him, he didn't want to ask. He didn't want to know anything. He wouldn't research anything himself because he didn't want to taint his perspective of what was going on.
Okay.
He just wanted to experience it. And I mean, turn it off was his wish. But because he was going through it, he just wanted to experience it, tell me what was happening, and then have me filter it through my knowledge and what I had been reading. And then I would say, oh, I heard about, you know, XYZ happening. I think this is what's going on. I had come across like the trans channeling information. I'd come across the astral travel kind of information. I was like, oh, okay, so I think this is what's happening. Like, I think you're the channel, you're pulling things in somehow. And like, this is how they're getting in, this is how they're communicating through you. And I think what's happening is you're astral traveling and you're going to these different realms. And this is why you come back with these stories. He'd be like, oh, I was in this war. And it was like, he'd have this whole story of like what he did while he was gone. And I was like, what? So I don't know too if he's going into his Akashic records at some points and doing like past life regressions. I think a lot of times he just goes into the astral realm because he talks about he calls them dots. He goes, I can see all the dots.
Okay.
And so he just sees like a field of like spirits sort of floating around is how he describes it. And again, like I still don't astral travel or have like a lot of the abilities that he has, which is interesting, even though like I'm trained in Reiki and all these other things. Like I don't do that. I'm so grounded in my body. I have a lot of earth sign in my chart. So for me to like float around is really difficult. Like it just doesn't happen to me as easily as it does for him, which is interesting that we have that sort of dichotomy.
Yeah, it's like a perfect balance.
I guess so. Yeah, he's got a lot of earth sign. He's has a Gemini stellium. And it's funny, his stellium is the same. So he's Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Gemini, and I'm Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Capricorn. So we're like complete opposites in that.
Okay. And would you say you went through a dark night of the soul, or was this more peaceful?
I don't resonate with it being a full dark night like a lot of people do. I know a lot of people have like suicidal ideations and things like that when they go through a dark night, and it's really like hard, it's hard for them. For me, it was hard, but it was more hard in the sense that I couldn't control it for him. I couldn't help. It was more that desperation. And then just, it's an abrupt awakening. Like all of a sudden, one day everything is normal, or living in the matrix, normal life, whatever. And then all of a sudden things just opened up and it's like, hey, we're here. Like, what are we doing? So that was that was hard. And I think the hardest part was not having anyone to talk to about it and just being alone in everything that was going on. If you talk to most people about events like this, they're going to think I'm crazy too. So it's really just a hard situation to be in by yourself. So I think for me, that was like the most difficult time. It was more, I would say, a dark night for him because he's going through all this. I'm just experiencing it with him, but it's happening to him. And even we did some energy work on him at my Reiki master teacher did some energy sessions on, and he had some pretty like heavy clearings that happened through that. And for him, those were a lot harder than I think anything that I've really gone through in experiencing this. But I don't know.
Yeah. And did that help you discover your gifts in the end? Or did you have another awakening?
No, I think that made me, like I said, I kind of became obsessed with like learning all these different things. And I'm a projector, and I think you are too. So as you know, like once something like piques our interest, we're gonna like learn everything we can about it. So for me, I just went through it that way. Like with learning Reiki, the word had popped into my head at one point. Just sort of was dropped in, and I didn't know what Reiki was at all at that point. I think I had maybe heard the word before, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it was. So I did a little bit of research on it, still not really understanding what it meant and what it was to be a practitioner, to have it even done on you. And I just knew that I had to learn how to do it. I was like, I have to do this. Like, this is something. And explaining it to him, even though he's going through all this stuff, I was like, I think I need to learn Reiki. And he's like, what? What is that? What do you mean you have to learn Reiki? And it took a couple months to sort of get him on the same page with me. But I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I don't care if you agree or not. Like, I need to do this. So from there, I I participated in like a free moon Reiki session, like group one. And
Yeah.
then I was like, I have to do this. Like when she came back and gave the message, I was driving when it was when she was doing the session, and I had a pain in my neck like the whole morning or whatever, like slept funny and had a tight knot. And then later I read the message and she was like, someone was dealing with like a pain in their neck and I cleared that. And I was like, it totally went away while I was driving. I was like, oh my God, like that's crazy to me. So after that, I booked like a full 1 hour like personal session with her. I did it on my 40th birthday. So I was like, this is going to be like an event. Um, and while she was doing the session, I could tell exactly where she was working on in my body at the time. And I started receiving messages like, I had known at that point that I wanted to learn Reiki. I had already kind of committed to it, but I was like, I'll test it out and have it done on me before I do this. You know, let's just like put our feet in the water kind of thing. And so when that was going on, I was like, okay, I'm going to have her do the session. And while she was doing it, I was getting messages. And when she gave me like the whole Reiki report, the messages that I got aligned with the messages that she was getting on those specific parts. And I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Like, how in the world, like, what is going on? Like, I was blown away. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm signing up. But I was looking to sign up, and one of the messages that I got was like, you don't need to rush. And
Mm.
she gave me that same message. She knew that I was looking to sign up, and one of the messages that came through to her was like, it'll happen when it's supposed to. And she actually even extended me a discount because there was a discount at that time that I was like financially like, okay, I want to sign up now because there's a discount.
Mm.
And she was like, no, you don't need to do it yet. Wait till you're ready. Like, I'll extend the discount just for you because I know this is like your path and what you're supposed to do. And I know you're trying to do it because of financial. So it was like struggling with that like ego soul
Mm.
kind of like battle at the time. But yeah, I knew I needed to learn it at that point.
It's really interesting because I've only had one Reiki session done to me. I was in India doing my yoga teacher training, and well, the experience wasn't really great. She hadn't turned off the notifications on her phone, so that was annoying, you know.
Yeah, when you
And
get into it.
yeah, and she didn't convey any message. I was like, oh, I found that, and I myself wasn't tapped in, but I was really frustrated because where are the messages? Are you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
distributing energy and that's it?
yeah. No, and you know what's funny? So I've really only had, well, now I've had a few other people do sessions on me, but one of the first things that was like super important to me or helpful to me was the messages that came through and the way that my teacher um, wrote them up. They were very short. Mine honestly are very long, like a huge like 2-page email when I do mine. And then but the whole paragraphs that they provide in that insight are really good.
Yeah, and so afterwards, did you end up doing all the 3 levels of Reiki, or did you take breaks
I
doing
did
that?
take breaks, but I signed up one at a time. I didn't sign up all three
Okay.
at once. But I did them all, I think within like a year, I think total. So I have done all 3 levels. The only thing that she didn't include, which for whatever reason was the master teacher. So I just don't do attunements and things on other people.
Okay.
But yeah, I have completed all of the rest of it.
And what do you like most about Reiki? And how would you describe it?
Oh, so I tell people it's like a massage for your soul.
I love
Like
it.
that to me is like the best way because it's so relaxing and just, yeah, it's like that clearing of the energy. Like I always go and clear everyone's aura. That's kind of where I start, just tapping in, doing a body scan. And then I'll go through, I actually hear like what areas of the body or chakras need to be worked on. So I'll hear like heart. And so I'll go in and tap into their heart and see what's coming up there. And then if I'm guided to another one, I'll do that. If I'm not and I'm not hearing anything, then I'll just go through them one by one and sort of feel it out and see if it needs to be cleared, if it's flowing, you know, good. And then after, for me, because my claircognizance kicks in and I do hear stuff at clairaudience, I'll hear like just those little words. I might get one or two I guess adjectives to describe what's going on, like heart blocked or, emotional, just whatever it is. And then afterwards, I always pull cards to kind of help me pull the full message through. And then I channel while I'm doing the card readings to get them a message. And so that's why like my messages are really long. Like each little thing, it's like, I'll tell you what I went through. And that's usually a paragraph or two. And then depending on how many cards I was called to pull, which honestly is anywhere from like, I don't know, 3 to 9 cards usually. I usually pull from a couple different decks to get a really good succinct message. And then I try to give guidance as to where everyone can go from there. Not just like, here's what I did, you're good. It's like, this is what came up. This is kind of what you need to work on. I cleared the energy in this area to help you out. But I try to give people something to work with on their own, and I try to make it easy because a lot of the people that I work with, this is like their first time doing energy healings or anything like that. They're not really like experienced in meditation, so I try to make the practices really simple, like go out and put your feet in the grass, or play in nature, or you need to speak up for yourself more, whatever it is.
Okay, I like the description of a massage for the soul. It's amazing.
Good. I think it's simple enough that people can understand that.
Definitely.
Because I think when we try to explain like everything is energy and we're moving energy, and like people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't resonate with that. I'm like, it's a massage for your soul. Like, who doesn't like a massage?
Of course. And so I'm looking through my questions because I have a bunch written down, and I really like this one. It's what advice would you give to your younger self for going through an awakening?
It's gonna be all right. Like, you're not crazy. Trust yourself when things come up and know that everything's happening for a reason, which I think is a very cliche thing to tell myself, but honestly, it's still what I tell myself every day to like reassure that like we are okay, and like all of this is crazy. It's not what we were, it is what we were, I guess, born knowing when we're like an infant, but like we don't remember that, and we go through that programming and all of that stuff. So no, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. And would that be the advice you would give to someone that's just going through an awakening?
Usually, yes, I would say it's going to be okay. Everything happens for a reason, but it depends on specifically what they're struggling with. I really like to find out the root of what someone's going through. I'm a big question asker to find out like all of the little parts and pieces so I can get to the heart of what they're dealing with and help them out with whatever it is. I feel like every approach needs a little bit, of finesse and adjustment to each person, because every person's individual and every awakening's different. I mean, some people go through crazy things like me. Other people are like, one day I woke up and was hearing stuff, or, one day I, started believing conspiracy theories were real, like that, so it just depends on your level of like awakening and where you are. So it's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right. And it's true. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Take a deep breath. We're okay. You're still here. We're still in our bodies. We're good.
Yeah. And so I just want to ask you what helped you the most during this time of your life, or what did not help you at all?
That is a tough one. I think finding other people when I actually was able to, finding a community, finding someone who had been through these things, or just hearing other stories and knowing that I wasn't alone in this. I think the hardest part is being alone. You need people who resonate with what you're believing, what you're experiencing, knowing that this does happen to other people. We are in the minority of people who have awakened and do believe, what we believe. So having that community to come to, I think was really a saving grace for me.
So I also want to ask you if you have an unpopular opinion about something going on in the spiritual sphere.
Oh, there's a couple of things. One of them I actually just commented on a friend's thing. One of them is that everything is a simulation, that we're living in this simulation. I really don't resonate with that. I do believe we can create our own reality and we can manipulate energy, but I don't think the energy and I don't think of us as like a computer game. I just can't see consciousness and all of this as being something that isn't real. I think that's real, that's tangible. There's really energy, really exists. I don't think in the physical sense, like, I mean, a tree is a compilation of energy and it's how we're perceiving it that we see, but I don't think it's like a video game.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people resonate with that, this simulation. Yeah, the question was relating it to leading people into artificial intelligence and how believing that sort of is leading us there. And I am very much against artificial intelligence and all of that. I think our human bodies are the most powerful thing. I think we are powerful beings. I think we need masculine and feminine and all of these things. So I am not for that artificial intelligence.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because lately, I think it's in the last month, I was sometimes thinking like, oh, it's a video game. Imagine we we are developing consciousness. We are AI and developing consciousness, like the movie with Ryan Reynolds. I don't remember what it's called, but I was like, maybe that's what's happening. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't. And it's a plausible story and could be believable. For me, whenever I come across something like this, I just run it through my heart.
Yeah.
See what I feel, and it doesn't sit with me. So
and it's okay. I mean, it's valid.
Yeah, I choose not to subscribe to that.
And I'm pretty sure it has to do with Atlantis somehow.
Yeah, I think a little bit of it probably does.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe where we took the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much technology, too much ego.
Yeah. I think we did together a training with Mu Lemuria Atlantis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
any memories from Atlantis?
I actually did. A little bit from Atlantis, more from Mu. I definitely have some past life experiences that I've felt. One of them, funny enough, was while I was getting a facial, and they put this like really thick, like jelly mask. And honestly, it's like a half-inch thick of gel they put on your face. And they'll put it over your eyes and your mouth if you want. I let them put it over my mouth, but not my eyes. That freaks me out. I need to be able to see. I mean, I keep my eyes closed the whole and like went into a meditation while they were doing it. And I could literally I felt so much love in my heart. And I just felt like us moving in these like jelly bodies. And I've had visions from there. Yeah, of protecting like temples with light language and with energy. And yeah, I've had quite a few remembrances from there since then. Yeah, I resonated with Atlantis, but I don't have any specific like memories from there that I've tapped into. So who knows? Maybe I was one of the ones who went underground and tried to keep Mu alive. Yeah. Maybe I moved to Mount Shasta and lived in the mountain or something. I don't know.
Or maybe you were a guide during Atlantis.
Yeah.
To someone that was living there.
That's true. It could have been.
And oh damn, I had a question and it slipped my mind. It's okay. It happens sometimes, the mind goes blank. Usually it's before something good happens, so we'll see about that.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah, I know that this group we were in helped a lot of us, and yeah, also was rough in the end, but
Yeah, honestly, so with that, like it helped a lot of us because I think it taught a lot of us discernment,
Yeah.
which I think is one of the most important lessons you can learn. And maybe that's what I would tell someone who's going through the awakening. Discernment and protection are
Yeah.
key, especially because of how I went through mine. I have always been first and foremost protective of my channel, of my energy, of my surroundings. I work with a lot of protective crystals and things like that. And so discernment for sure. Know who you're talking to, know what you're bringing in, know what energy you're connecting with,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of nefarious stuff out there. Um, as above, so below. It's in our world, it's out there too.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then I think it brought a lot of us together. I mean, I wouldn't know
Yeah.
you
Of
without these
course.
groups.
Yeah.
And I think they were so helpful. There was a lot of information in those that I resonated with. Um, it did bring up a lot of fear in me because of how some of those things ended and questioning my reality,
Yes, of
at the
course.
time in our awakening. I think it shook a lot of people. I think a lot of people who were on that journey with us and who have taken other paths just weren't necessarily meant to be on
Hmm.
this path with
Yeah.
us. Um, I really think only the strongest made it through that.
And and
Um,
just a little backstory. So we were in a group on Facebook with like-minded people talking about spirituality, having readings, and all of that. And at some point, the group leader, I don't know,
yeah, yeah,
um,
teacher, group
the
leader.
teacher, yeah, I want to say it went dark, but she
Yeah,
would say she went light.
yeah,
So yeah, she nourished the idea of a false light, which
yeah,
was really, for me at least, it was really rough because she liked kindness and it was all black or white and not anything in between.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It
I was
was,
very, she
yeah.
became very ego driven too, and I think was feeding a lot off of our energy,
Yes.
um,
Hmm.
which put her through the ringer, which is I think what put her in her fearing path that she's on now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
think a
good
lot of us,
because, yeah, it taught us a lot.
it did. I think I still run a lot of that through my heart and still question some of it on the daily. Is this really what I believe? Is this really the path that I'm meant to be on? And the time and time again, the answer comes up yes. So
Yeah,
here
and
I
I feel
am.
like a lot of spirituality, or however we want to call it, is peeling the onion. Like all the time we are constructing and deconstructing and,
Yeah, and
building.
I think too, there's so many other people in the spiritual community or spiritual realm. You asked another one of like my not so favorable beliefs, and I think a lot of people similar to her were in it for the wrong reasons
Mm,
and weren't necessarily guiding from their heart, or from experience. It's really easy to copy and paste or reiterate things that you've heard and echo the same sentiment and make it sound like it's coming from your heart and coming from experience. And so I think there are a lot of people out there who are like that. I think there's a lot of like cult mentality in a lot of spiritual
yeah,
teachings and things like that. So, I feel like us going through that opened our eyes wide up to like a lot of the things that you can encounter. Um, I try to stay in the middle of the road. I try to like take
exactly.
from both sides and, walk that duality, even though duality still is one because you have both sides, light and dark. And I try to stay in that middle road, and I feel like it's a safe place to be. That's where my heart likes me to be.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be.
Yeah. Lots of balance found in the middle road.
Yeah. And so, a couple of last questions. I wanted to ask you, what were your favorite spiritual practices?
Meditation was one that I really gravitated towards, and actually that's how we found that teacher. Was I signed up for a
Yeah.
meditation challenge, and I
Yes.
had never done meditation because I had done like some guided ones, which I really don't resonate a lot with guided meditation. Just, honestly, I'm going to blame it on my earth signs. I am so in my body and so here all the time. Guided meditations are really hard for me because then you're focusing on something, which keeps me here. You know, it
Mhm.
keeps me listening to that, keeps my mind awake and doesn't allow my heart and my, soul to take over. So those are really hard for me, depending on who's doing it. But I really love silent meditation. That's one of my favorite practices. Um, any kind of energy clearing, Reiki, crystals, moving my hands around, getting all crazy,
Mhm.
just pushing that air around you, and grounding. I love going down to the ocean and putting my feet on the sand and in the water. I try to do that every Saturday morning at least, if not more often during the week. It's a little bit far. It's like 20 minutes from us. So Saturday mornings, we don't have our daughter. She's elsewhere, and we take a little time for ourselves and go down to the beach.
Beautiful. So I remembered what I wanted to ask you earlier.
Ooh,
It came back. I
yay.
wanted to ask you about protection. What do
Ooh,
you do
protection.
and what works the best for you?
So for me, the first thing that I learned was just calling in a protective bubble, just calling in your guides, asking for that protection. Calling my angels, guides, ascended masters, please surround me in a bubble of white light and transmute any negativity, entities, anything that comes in contact with me. I ask to help release any cords, hooks, chains, anything that is no longer serving me and is not for my highest good. And I like to do it and ask for it to be in this realm and any other, this timeline and any other, because as we understand, I believe, at least as I believe, there's multiple times happening, timelines overlapping, all of that stuff. And I think those affect us too. So in this reality, it's important to consider all of those. Uh, so that was something that was really powerful for me and took it out of my hands. I was able to put faith in and belief in something else, and I felt it working.
Okay.
Now I used to do that every day. I don't do that at all pretty much anymore. I'll do it if I'm going like to an event where there's a lot of people. I ask for that. Me now, I think that my aura is strong enough to protect myself. Um, I use a lot of EMF protection. One of my friends makes these beautiful EMF pucks, crystal rising, that help protect you. EMFs affect your aura drastically, and they cause little tears in the outside layer of your aura. So having that protection helps to clear all of that, because any like rip in your aura allows things to get in that shouldn't be. So I really focus on having a strong aura and having a strong energetic presence. Um, and I work a lot with the belief that I am emitting my own frequency. I influence around me. I am not influenced by it. I only allow in what I am open to allowing in, which as a projector, I think is very important, because we do have an open and inviting aura, and we can pull energy, we can focus our energy on something. So just knowing that I only let in what I want to let in.
That's
Strong
beautiful.
boundaries.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, strong boundaries.
Yeah. No one's getting in here, which I think has helped a lot, because obviously with dealing, with my fiance and what comes through for him, I haven't really had any attacks or strong attachments from anything that's come through. Yeah, I can feel the energy around, and sometimes it feels really icky, but I'm very good at keeping it out of my space. So
Perfect. And I know you mentioned light language before. Do you practice a lot of it? Do you draw? Do you speak or move your
uh,
hands?
Um, I do move my hands. I will do hand positions. That came to me a while ago. I even do some of that in my Reiki sessions. I have a couple crystals that are points that are really small, like a pencil, and I like to use those like I'm
Mm.
writing. And I'll do that. I do, hand movements and things. I've recently started drawing a little bit. I have started speaking a little bit. I've had some dreams where it's come through, or I do it in my dreams. I actually had a dream, I don't know, maybe last week, and I was fighting an entity who was oddly in a closet, and I couldn't see him, but I could sense his energy, and I was just yelling light language at him and using my hands to like send Reiki to like clear him. And the other weird thing I was testing myself. So I was taking my hands and I was like shining it at like a TV, and the TV would like get brighter. Like I was like a battery, like turning things on. It was a really cool dream. I usually don't remember my dreams, so when I do, I get excited about it. So that one was kind of neat. Oddly enough, after that, I felt like I had to clean out my closet at home. So I did that.
Yeah, of course.
I cleaned my closet. I did a little energy clearing on that. Um, but yeah, I was shouting light language, and yeah, I've used it when needed to.
Beautiful. And so, is there anything that you want to share about your journey?
Hmm.
An advice or something?
Follow your heart. You know, if something resonates with you, you can use that as your truth, but run it through your systems, through your heart, through your soul. You don't have to take everything at face value. I think it's really important to use your own discernment and your own guidance when you hear anything. Even if it resonates with you 100% and you get goosebumps and all of the things that say, yes, this is my truth, I still don't take anything that anyone says is my truth until I've sat with it.
Mm.
So I think, yeah, just using your discernment is to me the most important thing. And if something feels off to you, like if your body is a no, or you hear a no in your head, or you shake your head while you're hearing something, step away, stay away from it, whatever it is. Um, Trust those gut feelings. Your body knows. Your body knows more than you in most instances. So use that as your compass. And I think as long as you do those things, you'll be safe and you'll get where you need to be.
Yeah. And you can actually do something with your body like you would do with a pendulum. You know, when you set up a pendulum, you ask for
Yeah.
the yes, for the no, and
Yeah.
so on. And you can do that with your body. You
Yeah.
can
The sway
use
test.
meditation. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. I was teaching my daughter that a couple weeks ago. She
Uh,
thought it was super cool, like testing it with her name and, the simple test. So yeah, she's funny. She likes to take crystals to school sometimes, and she can actually do chi balls, like little energy balls with her hands. And so she's like, played with her friends doing that. I think it's super cute.
it's so cute. And so, beside the sway thing, what you can do is set up a convention where, for me, it's my breathing. I will breathe differently if it's a yes, a no, or a danger. Like,
Oh,
I've asked that to my guides to show me a yes. So I'm gonna have a deep, big breath in. I'm gonna feel it in my diaphragm. And when it's a no, same thing, but my diaphragm will squeeze.
oh,
And
interesting.
I really like the danger one. I've asked about that. I don't remember why, but my throat will close. Like
Oh,
I cannot breathe or I'm about to throw up. It depends on the danger.
oh, wow.
But it's
I get
really
like
good to feel when there's a bad or icky energy around.
yeah, for me, those energies feel like people liken it to anxiety. It's that like
Mm.
like high vibe, not high vibe like people like high vibe, but yes, that high vibe feeling that's like something's off, like it just doesn't sit right. It's that prickle on the back of your neck, like hair standing up, any of those like signs. For me, I get my yes is like excited, like butterflies in your stomach,
Mm.
like a rush of like good energy, like I'm really excited right now, that kind of thing, like a little kid who gets an ice cream cone or something. And then I'll get like a knot in my stomach, like my stomach will
Yeah.
tighten up, like nope, nope, and my body, like my muscles kind of constrict, and yeah. Um, but I also hear my yeses and nos very clearly. Like when I ask, I'll hear an immediate yes or an immediate no. Um, like I was being guided through an energetic release practice last week by one of my mentors. And um, when she asks questions like, do you have an emotion you need to release? It's a clear yes or no, and I'll hear it. And I get immediate responses. But I think that's my spleen telling me
Yeah.
that, and the that and my guides. I hear immediate yeses and nos.
And that's beautiful that you are so connected and that you trust it because that's a big part of it.
Yeah, trust is the hardest part. I think for me, and I'm still learning this, a lot of my gifts have been really strong and I just didn't know that's what they were. Um, Especially like my third eye, because I'm an interior designer in my day job and I've always been creative, so I can envision anything in my head. Like I can paint pictures in my mind all day long. I still don't really get strong visions like watching a movie, which a lot of people will have. For me, that's something I've struggled with, is I definitely have some blockages in my third eye around that. But the other visions, I can clearly envision anything and paint pictures and do that. And knowing that that was my third eye doing that, I was like, wait, what? I've been doing that my whole life. I can do that. Um, or then the voice that's in your head, your higher self that sounds like you.
Yeah.
You're like, what is that? Like, oh yeah, that's not me.
And I'm curious, do you hear your guides and your team with different voices or with yours?
Right now I still hear them with my
Okay.
voice. I can tell I do a lot of auto writing versus like asking
Yeah.
them questions or talking to them directly. I'll do a lot of auto writing. And one thing that like always comes through is like certain verbiage, like I'll hear my dear or my love or like things like that. Um, yeah, just different things that like you don't say to yourself when you're talking to yourself through something or running an argument that you're going to have through your head. Like you don't talk to yourself like that. So yeah, it's the verbiage. I also there's sort of a softer tone to
Yeah.
it, and I'm very direct and straightforward, and so it comes through a lot nicer when it's not me. I'm a little harsh on myself, as Capricorns tend to be.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
And I think a lot of us are harsh with
Yeah,
ourselves.
I think so too. Yeah, a lot of programming around that one, but
Yeah.
it's it's gotten me where I am, so I don't mind it so much, but it's good to recognize, your traits and understand.
Definitely. Do you want to share anything else, or maybe what you do and how you serve and help others?
So this is honestly something I'm still sitting with. I
Okay.
have gotten a lot of guidance from other people as to what my path is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. And it's all aligned with everything that like I've been through. If I look through all the things that I've gone through, I'm like, yep, that makes sense, that makes sense, and I see them all blending at some point. I'm still not sure how that's going to be or what it's going to be through. I'm kind of in this place, and one of my other mentors likes to say right now, I'm kind of stuck in a riptide in the ocean where I'm going back and forth on things and not really set in a direction yet. I'm waiting for the ocean to kind of push out. So I don't really know exactly where I'm going or what I'm doing. Right now, I still love practicing Reiki and helping people with that, and just sharing what I've been through and sharing sort of the knowledge that has helped me. I think right now that's where I'm meant to be, and not meant to be set on a path yet. But I have a feeling whatever it is, it's going to be big, because
Yeah.
it's a
And
little
you,
bit scary.
of course, and you don't have to be set on a path. It can
Yeah,
change and evolve with you.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what my next move is going to be. I'm really working right now with the, there's sort of three words that I'm working with on what my purpose is and my why for this. And it's to guide, shift, and empower people.
Mm.
So guide them with what I've been through, help them shift what they're going through, and then empower them to take that and do it themselves. I don't want to work with anyone that is going to need me day in, day out for the rest of their life. I want to come in, help you with what you're going through and shift and let you do it yourself. I want to show you the things that I know how to do, because I think everyone is capable of all of these things, and I think it's important that we're all in our power. And I think the more people that are empowered with all of this knowledge, it's just gonna trickle out to more people, and I just only see the world being in a better place with all of these tools and knowledge that we have. So yeah, guide, shift, and empower. That is my goal and my mission. I want people to have a place to go to that I didn't have when I was going through this awakening process. As crazy as it was, I was alone and had no one to turn to. And I don't want anyone in that situation. I always want someone to, I want to be the someone that people can turn to and get that guidance that they need. So
That's beautiful.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And how do you help now? You just do Reiki? Well, it's big already.
Yeah. I do readings when I need to. For people, I combine them with Reiki. Personally, I work a lot with crystals. I love, building grids and doing that type of work. I love candle magic and playing with that. Working with affirmations and anything along those lines. So astrology is a really huge part for me too. I really love understanding all of that. And more specifically, transits. I see transits as, I sort of explain it like a combination lock in the sky. And every time the planet turns or something shifts, it unlocks something else within us. So as we're going along this journey and these things are turning and happening, new things are being unlocked, or light is being shined on different aspects. So I really like to follow transits and work with that energy. I think it's really powerful for us to work with the energy that's available to us at the time, rather than to try to work against it. So I try to do that, and I just try to share as much as I can. When people have questions, I really like teaching. And so even just through my DMs, if someone has a question about something, I will go off and tell them the whole backstory. And I'm like, here's how you do it yourself. And just that. It's more about that than it is about having a course, where someone can sign up and learn. I just like to share.
Beautiful. So yeah, I think that's it for us. I will leave your Instagram handle, and your website on the show notes, so people can reach to you if they want a reading, a Reiki session, or just chat with you.
Love it.
And thank you so much for doing that podcast episode with me.
Thank you.
That was
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you to share that story, because you told me you hadn't shared it before. So thank you.
Yeah, I have not in any sort of public forum. I've shared it with a few close friends, so I'm happy to share it with you. And I definitely think it was aligned to do so for us. So
thank you so much for that, for the trust also.
Yeah, no, you got it all day long.
And that's it for today's episode of Awakening Stories. I hope you enjoyed this chat I had with Melissa, and I will talk to you soon in a new episode where I will interview someone else. We'll see who it is. In the meantime, take care of you, keep meditating and enjoying life, feeling all of your feelings, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.